Okay, Eldar, I'll let you do the introduction, please.
Hamıya salam. Bizim bu webinarlarımız davam edir. Bugünkü webinarda ITC Beynəlxalq Ticarət Mərkəzi və AzExportla bir yerdə təşkil olunur. Bugünkü biz əvvəl də deyəsən demişdik bunu ki, bugünkü bizim təlimimiz belə deyək də bundan əvvəl keçirdiyimiz o 4 webinar qrupuna yəni o webinarların davamı olsa da, amma mən belə başa düşürəm, AzExport tərəfindən yeni belə sertifikat veriləcək bu webinarlar üçün. Amma əslində bugünkü webinar da hələ o bundan əvvəl müzakirə elədiyimiz mövzuların davamıdır. Bugünkü mövzumuz in-app marketing, yeni the new emailing technique. İndi bunu Azərbaycan dilindən biraz indi tərcümə eləmək yəni çətin deyəndə, yəni sözlər hələ, bütün bu sözlər hələ Azərbaycan dilində də istifadə olunur. Bugünkü təlimimizdə, bugünkü webinarda bundan əvvəl olduğu kimi ITC-nin eksperti, konsultantı Muhammed Esrix tərəfindən aparılacaq və sözü verirəm Muhammedə. Muhammed, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eldar. Thank you, everyone, to meet again, some of you, and for the new ones, welcome to these webinars. I think as Eldar introduced, today we're going to share a new approach to email marketing or emailing. And today also it's going to be a little bit different from the other times, because I'm introducing a, how you call it, a trend, which is quite new and which is using a combinations of new tools and new solutions. And also it is based on my personal experience over the last few months as a small entrepreneur with no budget. So which is, I think, adapted for you guys if you want to do some marketing like this one without too much financial means. So I'll jump right into the subject, and we're going to look at the menu, the agenda. Again, as a webinar, we don't have much time, so I will fly over and just stay at the level of introduction for certain things, such as the first point. I will just resume from my perspective what are the pros and cons of email marketing. Again, when you are starting grassroots, that means without so many financial capacity. And then we will jump into the context and what I mean in terms of definition for in-app marketing, because again it has a twist on it, and I will explain why and what is that twist. And then finally we will start diving into how to deploy in-app marketing, how you can make use of it as an entrepreneur from Azerbaijan. And then in that third point I will introduce the how to deploy it. And then the fourth point, because that is what is important with marketing, is the ability to scale it up. So how much you can make it scale so that you can get more leads, more traffic, hopefully more sales. That's the idea of this webinar with this particular in-app marketing technique. And at the last but not least, I will share some good practices. And finally, we will be happy to take questions, and don't hesitate today to ask even more questions. I'll be very happy with Eldar. We will be very happy to attend to these questions and kind of initiate a debate about this trend and this new approach. So let's look at the first point. And I repeat, I'm not going to introduce to you email marketing. Either you know it better than me, or Google has enough information about it. But I will just highlight some important points and highlight what I find not disturbing, but what I find challenging about email marketing from an SME perspective, especially an SME that wants to respect the rules and the laws. So at the moment, there are many publications that are concerning marketing, and especially web marketing, or many web marketing experts that are writing and attesting that still, as of today, email marketing has the best return on investment compared to any other web marketing technique. So as you can see, there you can find easily that the average return on investment is about $40 or more as a return on investment. That means that every time you spend $1 on email marketing, you make $40 from the sales. So indeed, it is pretty high, especially if you compare it to catalog advertising or even to search engine optimization or other like banner ads and so on. So this is what the industry is saying, and I think it is backed up by a lot of publications, blogs, videos on YouTube. So you can verify this very quickly. Now, the second point that I wanted to bring to your attention is that still, as of today, email is like the first thing we do in the morning as internet users. So the first thing we check in the morning is emails. Apparently, we check emails even before we check our social media. As you can see, almost 60% of the people will have declared that they check their email first before any other thing. The second position is that they do a search, Google, Yandex, Bing, whatever, but they go to search. And then the third one apparently is the social media. That's the third thing that they check. But just 2 points I wanted to highlight as well is that although email is number one action we do in the morning or when we start our day, actually many of our emails are notifications either from social media. So I get my notifications from Instagram, from Facebook and LinkedIn, or some notifications or emails from work. So it doesn't mean that all the emails we read in the morning are going to be marketing emails. So it will be just a small part of this. Now, the second point is that once we read our email notifications, that is going to impact our next activities of the day online. So meaning that if I start my day and I get to see your ad about a service or a product, I may actually go back to browse your website later in the evening or tomorrow. So I think this is also important to kind of put your brand in the first things that they look at in the morning in terms of users and branding and things like this. So this is an interesting point. There are some more advanced statistics as to when users open the emails, what they do after and so on. I left some links for you, but you can search on Google quite easily and you can access those data. And then let's dive into the money, because as you know, we have, as SMEs, especially from outside of the EU and US, we have to deal with small budgets. And in any case, even if you have money, there's no point to throw it out of the window or wasting it. So I'm always looking at the most cost-efficient way. And I have studied basically the main ways, two main ways to send mass mailing, to send mails in volume, which is on the left side, the most cost-effective one, which is what we call self-hosted. That means that you have your own website with WordPress or Wix or Drupal or whatever technology behind, and then you install an emailing plugin or an emailing functionality that will help you to manage lists with subscribers, and then draft emails, campaigns, and then send them over and over and follow them up. And then usually, because if you send a lot of emails in a short time, you're going to be blacklisted, and especially if it's your own internet provider or your own hosting, your IP address or your domain may get damaged. So we usually use SMTP provider, which SMTP is a protocol for sending emails. And it is better to use a professional one because they can scale up in terms of capacity. And also they manage the reputation very well. So for example, I tested and I studied the prices of all these providers. And to give you an idea on the long run, because I think that really to start to have some very good results at the end of the year or at the end of 6 months or 3 months or whatever is your time span, we start to get some very interesting results once you have dealt with 1 million emails sent. So that's why I want you to focus on the figure 1 million sent, and that would be our anchor as to understand how much it costs, because the transformation can be so low that we need to start with a big amount of email sending. And you can see that it's actually very cheap. to send a million email. It was much more expensive a couple of years ago. The two cheapest are Amazon SES, so Amazon Web Services. So they have a fantastic infrastructure for, forgive me, for web hosting. And the second cheapest one for a million send is Elastic Mail. So these two are the cheapest in theory. Now in practice, because they are cheaper, they are harder to get. For example, I tried to get an Amazon SES account, I presented my website and so on, and they refused it. So it's not because it's the cheapest that you can access it. So there's another parameter, which is the price, but also the acceptance. For example, SendGrid, which is more expensive, but has a higher and more responsive acceptance rate, and they ask you questions and they give you a chance to explain your business model. And then they let you gradually send more and more emails, and you get 40,000 emails credit for free for you to test in the first month. So I actually ended up using SendGrid because it was also integrating with my mailing plugin on my website. But other than that, I also tested Elastic Mail, MailJet, and PepiPost. And all of them, I think, are good. And I would say, don't worry, even if you pay $500 for a million emails, because at the end, this is not a huge difference in your marketing. We're talking about 1 million emails. So it's not $100 that will make a difference, or $200. So let's just say that when you use the self-hosted technique, the average cost is about $300 for a million email. And then we have the other way. If you don't want to have the hassle of setting up your own website, running your own server, and then installing all this, is that you can go for a software as a service, a SaaS emailing solution. One of the most famous one is MailChimp, but there are others, such as Moosend or Sendinblue or so many others. And usually it's of course much more expensive. For example, here, just to send less than 100,000 emails, it already costs $1,500. So for $1,500, with one of these providers, in average, I can send almost 4 million emails. So it is a higher cost, but then they manage everything for you. You just have to put your subscribers, build your email messaging, and automate all these things, and then launch. And they take care of everything: hosting, sending, reputation management, analytics, and so on. So this is also not a bad way. It's just that it costs more, but it reduces some of the responsibilities that you may have if you use the cheapest way. So in general, you can also reach 1 million send of emails for $300, which is, that's why I put it here, almost the same. MailChimp has a monthly membership fee for $300 that lets you send 1 million email. But the catch, or the limit, is not in sending the emails, but is to whom you can send it. And that limit is actually, you can have maximum 20,000 contacts in your list, meaning that you can send 50 emails per month to your 20,000 users, but you cannot send 1 million email to 1 million different users. That's the limitation. And also to get 20,000 users validated, you need to show and explain that, yes, you recruited them in this way, you have a website since 10 years. So there are some compliance things to do, but you can reach this level. So this is the basic comparison between self-hosted and SaaS versions of emailing tools. And as you can see, globally, the sending cost is not that expensive. This is where it gets expensive. It's actually when to acquire the emails, to clean them, to sort them, to maintain them, to make sure that actually you have a very clean and quality database of subscribers. That's where it's really expensive. So from my experience, if you want to acquire, clean, and sort 1 million email, it will cost you anything between $30,000 to $100,000. This is if you take in consideration finding the sources, buying the emails, or making campaigns to have some opt-in and things like this. So when you take in consideration all this, then the prices go up. And of course, it depends on your language and if you need to have the gender sorting. And from my experience, actually separating the first name and last name, and then finding out if it's a man or a woman. For example, if you want to send an emailing in French, where the gender changes completely the way you customize your message, then this is actually the highest cost, is dealing with those little segmentations that depend on first name, last name, gender. But if you don't have to deal with that, then roughly you can do with $30,000 from my experience to get about 1 million quality emails, and it can be more and more expensive. Now, the thing that we don't understand sometimes, because on Google you can go and buy big databases of emails for very cheap. But then this is not really legal. It's like gray market. And basically, if you are just interested in emails, you can buy 1 billion email for $300 on the dark web, but it will pretty much bring you nowhere. Because as you can see, even you have 1 billion emails, the cost and the time that you clean them up and how many of them are actually good and how many of them will accept that you contact them and accept to become a subscriber, I think will offset the volume. So I would say that the price of email databases, from my experience, is almost the least important point, because that's not what makes your emailing successful. It actually can drive you into a lot of issues and a lot of troubles. So this is the situation, especially for small and medium enterprises. This is where the cost is. Now, that cost not only is big, but also is increasing quite drastically. And this is because internet services providers and all the emailing solutions, they are under a lot of pressure from governments, from laws to respect privacy and so on, to protect consumers. As you know, there are consumer rights, e-consumer rights, privacy policies, GDPR rules in Europe, the same in America, other countries. And basically, there are 5 things that makes it harder and harder to send mass mailing campaigns. One is that by law, normally it has to be an opt-in. An opt-in, that means that the user has said, yes, Mohammed, I want to subscribe to your email, to your monthly or weekly newsletter. And I am checking the box to say, yes, I'm in. So by my motivation, I joined. That's an opt-in subscriber. And then the second point that we need to respect, and this you probably know it, at least as a user, is that they always need to have the unsubscribe link at the bottom. So when we receive spam, when we receive emails that we don't want, you also already notice that at the bottom there's usually an unsubscribe link. So this is what we need to apply as well when we are doing communications. Even if the person had subscribed and had received 10 campaigns and was happy, still we need to have it there. And then the third point is that when you do emailing, you need to manage your reputation, your technical reputation. So that is there are some technical things with the server that sends the emails, and these are DNS records, domain name server records. It's called SPF and DKIM. So if you're technical, you can manage it pretty well with your hosting provider. Otherwise, the SaaS solutions, they manage it. Also, your domain name get a reputation, and your IP address. So all this together gives a score that will lead your communication to the spam box or to the marketing box or to the inbox. And then on top of that, before you can actually add people to your newsletter and start sending emails, the email solution providers or other technical partners, they may ask you to justify how did you get 100,000 subscribers and your website just came up online a month ago. So you see, you have this history, traffic justification that is supposed to show that indeed I have subscribers. This is a natural base of subscribers. I didn't buy 1 billion emails from the dark web and now I'm blasting them out. This is basically what you need to prove. And this is more and more verified. I mean, they verify it more and more. They go and check your website. They check if your Facebook to double check if you have the traffic that you are. I mean, if you have the number of followers that can come close to the number of, that can have a relationship with the number of subscribers you have. So they have a ratio algorithm to calculate all this. And then finally, the fifth point that is becoming also harder and harder is the content of your email. So maybe a couple of years ago, we could send the same email to 100,000 people, but today we cannot, because Gmail will recognize that this email has been sent 100 times to its servers. Yahoo will do the same. VK and many other email providers, they will do this filtering. So now we have to start to avoid similar content. We have to start to customize, to put the name of the customer inside. And also they don't like that we put multiple images, multiple file attachments because of viruses and so on, or slow connection or other risks. And also they don't like that we put 20 links in a newsletter, because they want to see reasonable human communication. For example, if I was really communicating with Eldar, whom I know, it's very rare that I'm going to send to Eldar an email that has 10 links. Like once in a while, if I want to share with him like a list of websites. But usually when I send email to Eldar and Eldar sends email to me, the normal usage is that there is maybe one external link. Like, hey, Eldar, did you see this video on YouTube? Or, hey, Eldar, I find this new service. So it's one link. So be careful. If you put one link, you better put it towards your website. And that would be the best practice for this part here. So like I was saying, the cost is already high, but the cost is increasing and the complication is increasing. And the spam measures are also getting harder and harder. So I think for an SME, I don't want to say it's not worth it, because it depends on your transformation ratio. It depends on how much you sell the product, how much margin you have. So it can still work. That's not a big issue. But I think for for a tight margin, for a normal business, for a small and medium enterprise, if you had to acquire the email database legally, that means that you either do advertising or you buy a service for getting leads, then the real cost of getting one email, one subscriber, can be between $1 and $20, depending on the industry and the keyword and so on. So it costs a lot of money to actually build up a subscriber database. And if you're using search engine optimization, it may be cheaper, but it may be taking you 6 months or a year just to have 2 or 3 or 4,000 subscribers. So if you consolidate all this information, you actually very fast realize that if you respect the law and you do things correctly, then maybe it's not making money. Maybe your cost of acquiring the customer is much higher than how much money you're actually making out of that spending for emailing. So this is just like a warning, like be careful, because this what the true cost should look like if we were to stay, like I said, legal and clear, and we want to maintain a brand, because you want to make your brand a good brand, not that people say they're spamming me and so on. So this is for the pros and cons of email marketing. And now I'm going to dive into our subject of today and start with the definition of what I mean, or what we mean by in-app marketing. And I'll take Intercom definition. Intercom is a startup that is offering a CRM and live chat and communication marketing management tool, which is fantastic. And by the way, they have an offer for SMEs and startups. So they define in-app marketing as the key to engage and retain users that already registered with your website or your mobile app. So it's normally a mobile app terminology. So for example, you already have people in the mobile app, and in-app marketing will be inside sending them some bonuses, some free coins, some freebies, some invitation. So they're already your customers. They're already your subscribers. They're already within your environment, and you are driving transformation of a subscriber into a paying customer. So this is how it is used by the industry. This is the normal use and the normal definition and meaning of in-app marketing. Now, according to Mohacom, my virtual marketing company, I have a slight different definition for us as an SME. And for us, it's more like an external in-app marketing that I mean. Meaning that from my experience, this is key in going and engage and bring out, like grab out users, new clients from other people in-app. So going to LinkedIn in-app messaging, going to Facebook in-app messaging, and out of those platforms, I want to generate leads, communications, and then bring them to my platform, my website, or my app, so that I can then transform these contacts into a sale, hopefully. So this is what I mean by in-app marketing. Maybe you can redefine it to understand it better as external in-app marketing. So we go where the customer is in the app where he is or she is, and that it's external to us, and then we bring them to our network. This is what I mean. Okay, and I'm going to share with you how to do it and then how to scale it. But first, let's finish also the definition. So basically, what is it? Technically speaking, in terms of composition, it's a combination of social media marketing, which you can see here, with email marketing. So I'm using both techniques. I'm still using email marketing, just that I don't want to waste money and waste resources in shooting every bird that may fly over the sky. I want to use it in a new way, in combination with social media, and that's how I'm building my in-app marketing, based on these two marketing techniques. Now, my invitation or the challenge that I'm bringing to you guys is that what if the marketing techniques could be reversed? I mean, they're trends. What if email marketing is not actually to get new customers, but it's to maintain, to engage customers that we already have, meaning that we use the email campaigns not to bring new clients, but to keep existing clients, because they know us, they subscribe to us, so we're sending them notifications, special offers, newsletters. So actually it's a notification tool. So I'm asking you, what if we use it as a notification tool? Then we don't have to deal with all the spams, measures, and so on, and we don't have to buy or go after fake emails, bad emails that we need to clean, and so on. And what if in-app marketing is not about keeping and engaging our existing customers, but the other way around? What if in-app marketing can bring us new clients? Meaning that using in-app marketing or external in-app marketing and go and get new customers, means discover new customers, acquire them, and bring them into the right side so that they can be my customer. And if you think like this, then this I think opens up a new set of opportunities for you as an SME, because not so many people are doing this right now. Everybody's using email marketing to acquire new clients, but the trend from the internet providers, from the social networks, that they don't want us to blast people by email, and they themselves use email for notifications. So this is my challenge. This is my invitation to change of mentality, and I think there is an opportunity. I'll share with you how we can leverage it. So if you accept, or if you're interested in experimenting this, then this will give us a new funnel, a new customer acquisition funnel, where normally the other marketing approaches, they will put emailing at the top. Usually the marketing companies, they start blasting emails in millions and millions, and that's like your top of the pyramid, or the bottom of the pyramid, or the top of the funnel, where you want to drive the maximum number of clicks, the maximum number of visits. So you have to blast millions and millions and millions, or hundreds of thousands of emails. And I'm saying, maybe no, maybe let's keep the emailing for the next step. What if we go and discover and bring as many contacts and as many interactions as possible from the existing social networks? Facebook has billions of users. YouTube has also a billion or more users. Twitter, Instagram. There are so many also niche network marketing where your clients may be. And how about we build a segmentation in that particular network? So you're going to target specific roles, specific demographics, specific region, country, a specific kind of content or keywords that they may hashtag that they may use, publish, or like, you know. So you're going to build your segmentation and then apply it in the social networks and go and find the people who are responding to your segmentation. So that's the first point. I target, I make sure that I have the right targets, and then I start my in-app messaging here. And from my in-app messaging, I will maybe contact 100,000 people and then bring them. If they say yes, then I will probably get their emails. You know, when you add somebody, when you connect to somebody on LinkedIn and he say yes, in theory, in most of the cases, their email will be available. So from there, we narrow down, we start to have some emails, and this is emails that people interacted with us. So they told us, yes, I'm interested to discuss with you. And then we put them in the CRM or in our Excel list or whatever. And then we start our emailing campaign to slowly but surely convert them into customers. From there, my approach or my strategy here or my vision is that if they don't respond to email, I also often get the phone number from LinkedIn or other sources. So I could build an SMS campaign where I send an SMS. I can automate an SMS. And then even if they don't reply to SMS, I have done also auto call campaigns where it's a robot that calls the numbers of my customers and tell them, hello, you have a pending invoice. If you don't pay before the 30th of this month, you're going to lose your web hosting. Or, hello, sir, you have requested our brochures 1 month ago. We have a special offer. Say yes if you want us to call you. So you can actually automate calling campaigns. And then at the very end, in my approach, at the very end, I use either my time or the time of a colleague, because human time is the most expensive. I always try to automate processes, link things, integrate, and then do the least possible human work, yet controlling and measuring everything. So this is the funnel that I propose, and we are addressing today the top of it. So let's look at how we're gonna be able to do this. If you want to deploy in-app marketing, this is a simple methodology that I would like to share with you. I called it the feedback loop methodology. This is because actually nobody knows how to get new customers. So if somebody comes and tell you, yes, give me $10,000, I know who are your customers and what are their segmentation and how to get them, they are probably lying. If they're not lying, then they are billionaires. So I think from reality, as an SME, you have to work hard and you have to go hands-on and build a loop of feedbacks and iteration and changes, and so that you can actually fine-tune and find the right channel of acquisition and the right conversion process. For example, if I want to at the end have 10 clients or 10 sales or 10 responses, I may have to start with a target of 100,000 contacts or 100,000 profiles. So I need to go and find a pool, a zone, an area, a network or a group where there is enough, maybe 100,000 members, 100,000 people connected over there. And then inside there, I have enough variety of and availability of profiles to build my my research criteria. So I want to target people who are in Istanbul or Turkey and who are between 35 and 55 years old, men maybe, and then who are in the cloth production industry. And I want to talk to managers, and I want to have people who have already a brand, an established brand, and they should, if they have an affiliation with certain export, transport, logistics, or chemical companies or whatever, I'm going to use this and along with keywords. So my search criteria will help me to fine tune my target, and then I can come up with quality and large pool of potential contacts. Now, once I have done my little fine tuning, maybe I'm going to end up with only 10,000 contacts that are worth for me to take the hassle of doing my strategy. So among those 10,000 contacts now, what I advise you to do is to segment them, to group them, to create as small as possible groups. I mean, in some instances, I have created groups of 100 users, of 100 people. For example, I made groups of women entrepreneurs in Paris, because I had something very specific to women managers or women directors or women owners of startups and companies. So, but it is difficult because then you have to deal with so many customized campaigns and so on. But the return is really much higher when the more you fine tune, the more the return is high. But then you have to calculate how much it is worth spending time on it. Usually, I would suggest that if you have 10,000 potential contacts, to group them at least in groups of 10,000 or 2,000 at least. Sorry, of 1,000 or 2,000. So maybe you have 10 groups, 5 groups, 4 groups maybe. And you can organize also, I suggest you organize and you score the priority of the profiles you want to target. For example, I may want to target a woman manager that has 10 employees, because I know that if she has 10 employees, she may need e-learning more than somebody who is alone. So these kind of things, you score the quality and the priority of the target that you want to have. Once you've done that, this will already help you to iterate and think and redo your groups. It's okay to do a first set of groups and change them. It's okay. That's exactly the aim. Once you have done your grouping and segmentation, then I suggest that you do what we call A/B testing. A/B testing is very simple. We take one group of 1,000. So, or from the group of 10,000, I only contact 10% of that group. That's the idea, is that you only contact 10%, because you want to test with the 10% how they react. Maybe my message is not good. Maybe I put too many images. Maybe the price is too expensive. Maybe my email is too long, too short. Maybe I didn't put my phone number. They tried to reach me. Maybe I didn't have the live chat. They tried to reach me. So any mistakes that we may do, or any optimization that we have missed, we're going to discover it with our A/B testing. For example, I can do 2 types of messages or 3 types of messages, 3 types of pricing, 3 types of offers, until I find which combination gets me the best response with that 10% of my crowd. Once I know that, I analyze, I optimize, so I reach some maturity, then I blast my whole communication to the remaining 90%. And then once I have blasted my whole communication to the remaining 90% of my crowd, then I may get 10 responses or less. Actually, it's possible that you get 0. You send 10,000 emails and you get 0 response. And it doesn't mean it's dead. It just means that maybe you need to do this. You need to come back and redefine your grouping. You need to come back and redefine your search criteria. You need to come back and find better keywords, better affiliations, different profiles of people. So, and then you do a new loop. You come back, you do it again. You research again, you segment again, A/B testing, boom, what is the result? And you keep doing this until actually you have this feedback loop and you reach the best conversion ratio. So I think if you want to be real, in marketing in general, the only way that you can reach, I think, results is trial and error. I don't believe any marketing that tells me I will bring you 100 customers. I want to see by myself. I want to test it. I want to see the customers live, call them on the phone, receive emails from them. I want to see that this is real. So I think trial, error, and then iterate. Iterate means redo it better, change it a little bit, redo it, maybe 100 times, maybe 10 times. Sometimes we get it right in the first time or the second time. But this is, I think, for SMEs with not so much budget, and to have the best quality for also branding, because by doing this methodology, we are not bothering people that do not want to hear from us. So that also can have an impact on social media and so on, that there will not be some bad feedbacks about you being aggressive, being an angry marketing company. So this is a little bit the methodology that I self-apply to my own projects. Now let's look at a real example of how I've done it in a project. For example, let's say we have something to sell to world experts, like experts in different disciplines, like experts in nuclear, atomic power, electricity, or experts in water irrigation, experts in negotiations between countries, you know, peace and so on. So I want to contact the best experts in the world. So I was thinking maybe if I start with the people who win the Nobel Prize, that should be the best experts in certain disciplines. And then, so I will do my little research, and then I will go and grab the names of each Nobel Prize winner, laureate, and then I will go to LinkedIn, sorry, and I will find the LinkedIn profile of this person. I will request for a connection. Hello, sir. Congratulations for your Nobel Prize. I'm very interested in your discipline. I would like to connect with you to see some potential opportunities. You know, a small message that is not too hardcore. I'm not trying to sell on the first contact request and connection request. I just want to make a connection. And then the person may approve me or not on LinkedIn. And if he approves me, I can officially start communicating with him. Sorry. So by doing so and applying my little fine-tuning research criteria, I saw that first I find the Wikipedia page that lists all the Nobel Prizes, and then I have a potential of contacting 919 Nobel Prize winners. So that's almost 1,000 people, and it's very targeted. So this is just for an example. So I started. Okay, good start. And this is my trial and error result. First, I noticed that actually many of the Nobel Prize winners, unfortunately, they are dead. And this is because Nobel Prize started in 1901. It started like 119 years ago or 180 years ago. So many of these fantastic people have passed away. Peace be with them. So, and then many of them are old, or many of them have not picked up the new social network wave, or they don't have a LinkedIn profile. So my first idea of maybe getting almost 1,000 people came to 100, 120 people who barely had a profile on LinkedIn. So it's kind of a too small crowd to start working on it. And then I'm going to spend a lot of time. So I started to do what I told you before, the iteration. I went back to my research. I went back, who can I find a different profile, a different function, a different organization, a different relationship. And then I came up with something that started to work, which is I find out that many people are actually putting the names of a prize winner in their LinkedIn profile. For example, and sometimes the Nobel Prize is given to 3 or 4 people. So maybe the first gentleman or lady I tried to contact, she doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, but the associate winner of the prize has a profile. So if I can find an associate winner, then I can contact all of them in one go. And then I find out a lot of students, because usually Nobel Prize winners are professors and they often do research. So they often have a lot of students, and they often tutor 1 or 2 or 3 PhD student research students per year. So that's actually an extension on specialists, on high value, high qualified experts for my targets. Those are experts. If they can work with the Nobel Prize winner, that means they are at the top. And then I find out also that sometimes customers or business partners that work with the Nobel Prize winner, they mention his name or her name on their profile as well. So I'm interested to contact these people because maybe they can link me to other experts, or maybe themselves, by working with top experts, they also have a high level of expertise. Finally, there was another group, which was the colleagues, the friends, the family, which could be maybe in some cases a way to connect to the Nobel Prize laureate that do not have a LinkedIn. So maybe if I can find the colleague of a Nobel Prize winner and I can communicate with the colleague, I can get an introduction by phone or by email or somehow outside of LinkedIn. And finally, a lot of students, not necessarily PhD student under the Nobel Prize winner, but a lot of students also mention that they had a professor or at least the specific prize winner did the class for them and so on. So you can see that because I re-modified my approach and I focus on associate prize winner, priority number 1, priority number 2, the students that are being tutored by the prize winner. So by doing these 2 subgroups plus the Nobel Prize winner who are still alive, I get 3,000 contacts. Now this is high value contacts. Now I have learned to change my approach. I have learned by error, by being disappointed in my first trial, I have learned to target and open better my search. Now I have 3,000 contacts to deal with. I have not win them. I have just singled them out in a network that has 100 millions of users, LinkedIn. Now I know who are the 3,000 people I want to go and connect to. So now I would have to test to reach them. So I have to test my messages. So the idea is that instead of contacting the 3,000 of them, I only contact 100, 200, maybe even less. I try with the first message to see if it works well, you know, like a warming message. Hello, I'm also involved in this research. I would like to have some discussion with you. Try the research point. If it doesn't work, maybe I try another kind of introduction. Hello, I'm a fan of your professor. I would like to get acquainted with you and hopefully your professor. Maybe it doesn't work. So this is what I mean by A/B testing. You test different ways of connecting, different messages, and then you always personalize your request. Even if it takes more time, use the name of the person. Don't go and say, hey, hi, hey, guy, hey, Nobel Prize winner, and copy and paste for everybody. Address them with their name, with their title, professor, doctor, your honor, your excellency, whatever is the title that is over there. And then I will do this testing, and then I will analyze, optimize. And because I'm lazy, and it will take me too much time to create a different message to a different user, I use Word AI, which is an artificial intelligence text generator or text spinner. So for example, I do 2 or 3 messages, or I take one paragraph, and then I throw it into Word AI, and I get 100 versions of this paragraph that says the same thing differently. And then I put a variable which is the name of the person. So it always starts dear Mr. or dear Madam. And then it's a whole different paragraph from one user to another. And this took me like less than a minute to have 100 different personalized messages. And you can automate this in your way to address them. So this is what I would do, or what I do. And then once I have done my A/B testing, I start to contact the whole 2,900 or 2,700 remaining contacts, because now I've found the right message, the right moment, the right approach, and the right target. So now I blast my communication. But then I still have to study when I send it. Do I send it on the Monday morning, on a Sunday evening, on a Friday evening, on Wednesday? What is my target people habits? When do they first connect? In the morning, in the afternoon? I'm in Azerbaijan, and my target client is in California. So if I send it in my morning in Azerbaijan, that's midnight or 1 or 2 a.m. back there in California or in the US. And then the second point that you need to be aware of is that every time you start sending volume, I really strongly recommend that you have a live chat, because you're going to drive maybe 1,000 new people to your website in one day, and you want to know these people, what they think about your website. You want them to be near you. So live chat will offer you the opportunity to get the first feedbacks, so that if there is a problem, you can stop the campaign, address the problem, and then resume the campaign. And also, of course, very important is the Google Analytics tool, or any other analytic tool, especially the goals. So you have to set up what is called the goal. For example, my goal is that the person will register as a member in my website, even if it's a free registration. So in my registration confirmation page, I will put a marker for this specific goal, and that will tell me which people, which path they took, and which characteristics they have, and I know which ones converted, and then I understand better which ones are the best target for me. So this is a little bit an example of how we can do it. And it's already been 1 hour, and I want to have a bit more questions together. So it's actually simple. It's not that complicated, as you can see. Now, probably the first feedback that anyone can do is, okay, Mohammed, it's nice, but 1,000 contacts, or even at the end, maybe you're gonna have only 10 or 20 people who will buy or register. There's no way to do a business out of it. We need to scale, right? We need to go into 10,000, 100,000, I don't know, 1 million, depending on what I sell or what you sell or what you provide. So it's important that together we see how we can scale this up. Now, before you can scale, you have to understand the thresholds, because we are going into other people's app and we are going to interact with customers inside their world, their environment. So we have to respect their rules. For example, if I go on LinkedIn, I have to respect all the limits and thresholds that LinkedIn has. Otherwise, LinkedIn will block my account. Either they penalize me, I cannot contact anybody for a week or a day, or maybe they can close my account. So we cannot do it savage mode. We cannot go and blast everybody in 4 hours and try to do the business in just the same day. You have basically the main guiding point is what I put here in blue, is that you have to do it in a way that a normal human will do it if he was not a business, you know, because these networks are designed for normal human interactions. They don't like that you leverage their network too obviously or too aggressively. They call it aggressive behavior. So that's why they do these limits. And I have summarized for you here the main limits of 4 networks: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And please, if you have knowledge of some of the limits which I couldn't find so far, or I didn't notice, you see I put NA, not applicable. If you guys know some of them, please put them in the comments or in the chat, so that the next round or in the PDF we will share with you, we all benefit from it. But for now, I kind of covered maybe 80% of the information. For example, in LinkedIn, one way to gain new followers or new contacts is to create content. Now, don't go and create too many pages per day. Marketing agencies say that you can do 1-2 posts per day is already very good if you do it continually every day or every 2 or 3 times a week. Don't go and blast 100 posts in one day. You're going to get blocked. Now, tweets, yes, you can tweet a lot. I mean, you can see Donald Trump, he tweets a lot. He does more than 20 tweets, right? So Twitter is like designed for that purpose of short bursts, small news. So the threshold there is higher. But other than that, after Twitter, only Instagram has kind of a high threshold. Not Facebook and LinkedIn, they don't like it so much that you post too many new content. So that's the first limit you have to deal with. But in our case, in my example of getting the Nobel Prizes contacts or associates of Nobel Prizes on LinkedIn, I may either find them in groups. For example, there is a group of the Journal of nanotechnology science, you know, something very specific. Then I want to join that group because then there I will find even more experts. And then LinkedIn has a maximum number of groups you can request to join at the same time. So for example, I selected 30 groups. I requested to join 30 groups and that's it. I cannot join more. I have to wait to be accepted, or I have to cancel my request to other groups and come down below 30 pending groups so that I can join new groups. So this, you can play with it. It can take you a week, a month. For me, I usually plan it over 3 months to get into the groups that I really want, because that's the time it takes, at least a month, at least 1 to 3 months. And then if I want to go to specific individual, there is a limit, especially if you have a new LinkedIn account, or if you have a LinkedIn account that doesn't have too many connections. You may be limited to 50 connection requests per day, maybe 100. I've done 150, 200. Sometimes LinkedIn lets me do 100 or 200 per day. But you have to do it like not in 1 hour. You have to do it like half day you do 50, or every 2 hours you do 50, 20, and so on. It has to look normal. And then even if you have connected with these people, you cannot send more than 100 messages per day. Okay, so this is actually what limits my scaling right now with our particular example of LinkedIn and going after 30,000 users or 300,000 users. And that said, limitation known, let's see how we can scale it up. So you have a simple way of scaling this up. Because these limitations are per user. So if I have a team of 5, or if my colleagues or my partners or my employees are with me, then we have 5 LinkedIn accounts. Then we can already multiply by 5. But beside the human hack or the human technique of having multiple people or even freelancers, I will show you on the next slide, I will present to you another way of scaling up. But let's look at first the human scaling. So if I want to scale using human resources, how am I going to go about it? And my advice or my experience is that to ask yourself your question. In Azerbaijan, if I have a team with me, let's say I have a student with 2 years experience, new job. I don't know what is the basic salary in Azerbaijan, but let's say somebody who knows how to go online and do social networks things. Is this person costing you less than $5 per hour in terms of everything? You have to count the salary, the training of that person, the social security that you pay, the taxes that you pay on employment. So you take all this together, and is this person costing you $5 per hour? Yes or no? So is it costing you less than $5? If it's not costing you less than $5, that means it costs you more, then maybe don't hire locally. Maybe if no, then if it's not cheaper than $5, maybe you can find freelancers, especially now with the COVID-19 crisis. I noticed that on Upwork and freelancer.com, there are lots of people looking for job. They can do job for even $2, $3, $4, $5 per hour. They can do a job. Unfortunately, that's the situation. But that could be a better way than hiring locally, and then you're stuck and you don't have enough work, or it goes up and down. So you have 2 ways to solve this. You hire freelancers, and they will do this small manual job. They will create a LinkedIn account, get it validated, and so on, and do it. Or you can hire an automation developer, an automation specialist that you can find also on freelancer.com, Upwork, and he will develop for you a robot or a bot. He will develop for you or automate one part of your website that can do specific tasks that take human time. So this way you automate as much as you can, and you delegate whatever is left as a human task. Now, if your local salary is less than $5, yes, then you can hire locally. You can train students, you can take internships maybe, and then you can still take a developer to automate whatever you can automate. So this way you will get the best cost-efficient way of scaling up. So that's the idea of how you can scale using human resources. Now, my main advice before you get other people to work with you is that you should do it as an entrepreneur. You should do it as a manager. You need to know every step of the process. You need to know every mistake. You need to know every trick, every way that customers can react. Because unless you know that, you cannot delegate, or you will delegate badly. So if there is a bad input, whatever the quality of your team is, you will probably have a bad output. So this is my advice. Do it yourself, perfect it yourself. Once you're happy with the processes, organize them, modelize them, and then train, delegate. This is the way, at least I try to do it. Now let's look at the second point, this second way of scaling. And then I will be happy to take more questions. So if it's not enough, the human scaling, and in any case, it's always good, I suggest, to automate. So let's look at how to use machines, how to use robots or bots to automate some of the tasks. So basically, the rule is that whatever a human can do on the browser, whatever I can do with my mouse and my keyboard online, a bot can do it. A program can do it. That's the good news. So a program can really mimic a human. It can wait 5 seconds. It can check if there is an image, even enter the captcha of the image. It can check if there is keyword A, then do this. If there is no keyword A, then do this other thing. So you can do if or not, and you can make some basic choices and then download, upload an image, download the PDF, copy an email, copy a name, put it in a list. You know, it can do a lot of things, everything that we can do as a human. So I put for you here few solutions that allow you to automate things. There is Eu4Business Studio, there is Zenoposter, which has a whole series of other tools, but the good thing is that it's open source. Sorry, no, Selenium is open source and Zeno builds on Selenium. So these are the tools, let's say the softwares to design bots or to design automatic tasks. And then if you're not comfortable, or if you don't want to learn the logic behind, or if you don't find people who know how to use this, you can always find a programmer. And usually a programmer, I mean, for automation, the language that works well for automation is Python or Ruby on Rails Python. So you may find or hire a Python developer, even part-time, and ask him to develop for you some ways of automating registration on your website, or finding new customer on a website and doing whatever you would have done manually. Now, for our case, with searching the Nobel Prizes, I have learned myself. It took me 3 months. I bought a license of Eu4Business Studio, and I'm not a programmer, but I wanted to learn this. So I learned how to develop a bot. So Eu4Business has a visual interface for you, even if you don't know how to code. You can actually do some simple boxes with actions that will perform a series of things. For example, here you can see that you will see further up when I show the video, but first I go on the Wikipedia page that I told you about, and I find all the names of all the Nobel Prize winners. And then once I find the name, I save the name in the variable, which is here in blue, it's the variable. So my bot will go to Wikipedia page, grab the first name, copy it, go to LinkedIn, paste it in this URL, replace this name by the name of the Nobel Prize winner, hit the button search. I wait that the page will load. I wait 2 seconds, and then I collect all what I call indirect URLs. That means all the LinkedIn profiles URLs that have this name in their description. Because if they have this name in their description, maybe they are a colleague, maybe they are a partner, maybe they are family, I don't know. But this is how I will find them. So you see, I ask the bot, I teach the bot to go do this, type the name, search, record all the URLs that appear, and then take the name, the birth, and the price of, save everything, save the information of the Nobel Prize winner, and save all the LinkedIn links that are mentioning this name on their profile in LinkedIn. So it's doing all these little things for me, you know, what I would have done on Excel. The bot is going and doing it and saving the data. Boom, boom, boom, boom, boom, boom. So basically, the bot can do my job without mistakes, without coffee, without needing a pause, and without getting tired. And then this opens up a whole new world of possibilities, because what you cannot do humanly speaking, or maybe what I would have needed a team of 5 to achieve my goal in a day or 2 days or 3 days, I can now do it with the bot. And on top of that, the bots can run multiple connections at the same time. It's called multi-threading. So it can actually connect to 5 different LinkedIn accounts, and at the same time, like they will share the list of names, and they will go, one starts from the middle, one starts from the top, one starts from the bottom, and they all check, and 3 at a time or 5 at a time, they do this job. So we can multiply by 5 the collection without breaking the LinkedIn rules. This is the magic and the power of automation. Now, I want to show you how it looks like. So I did a small recording of my homemade Nobel Prize LinkedIn search bot. And I hope it's going to run here. And I will try to comment and tell you what it is doing right now. I'm going to close this. So let's run the video. As you can see here, this is my programming interface, and this is what happens on the browser. So first I log in with my login account so that I'm logged in into LinkedIn. Once I'm logged in, I go back to the list of Nobel Prize on Wikipedia, and I take Christian name, I save the name, her birth date, the prize she won. I search this name on, the bot searched the name on, as you can see here, on LinkedIn. It saved all the results, and then I search again and I add Nobel at the end, and I take all the URLs of all these people, and then I go to the next Nobel Prize winner. So after Christine is Edward B. Lewis. Okay, the bot grabs all his information, takes his name, search for it on LinkedIn, just the name, because if I find a profile just with his name, that means he has LinkedIn. If not, I do a second search and I add Nobel, and then I find other people who are connected to him. So then we save all these links, all these profilings. Then I go to the next, the bot goes to the next one, Sherwood Rowland, and so on and so on and so on and so on until it does all the 900 or all the 500 or whatever the list is over there. So you can see that by doing so, we can virtually build up a strategy to gather 100,000 potential customers, even 1 million customer. Maybe it will take a month, maybe the bot can run for a week, but it's okay as long as you respect the rules of the thresholds, and as long as you're not too aggressive and you build up your scaling. I think this way is one of the most cost-effective way to use in-app marketing and drag out a huge number of quality subscribers or quality potential customers. So this was one of my first U-bot studio bots or softwares. And if I can develop it, you can do it, because I'm really not, I don't have a logic mind. So I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a logic guy, but I struggled because I want to earn customers like you. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to do business. So I went and I learned this, and I combined it with my web marketing knowledge and just good practice, good thinking, let's say, on how I can find my customers. So this is for the demo. And to close my presentation, I'm going to share with you five or six good practice that you can follow to implement this in-app marketing or X-app marketing technique. So first, really you have to fine-tune your targeting and use segmentation, because unless you fine-tune and you really focus your targeting, everything is going to look painful. So it's better to kind of waste time or spend time fine-tuning, targeting better, and focusing, because everything will be reduced. The spam complaint will be reduced because you're much more targeted. The time you're going to spend, you will have more time to spend with actually people who react to you. So you don't have to send 100,000 emails. You only need to send 10,000 emails, maybe only 1,000. So really the fine-tuning, the focusing is I think the most important for an SME perspective. And then second point, don't be lazy to test, iterate, improve, challenge yourself, redo it, break it, do it again before you send to everybody. Before you contact everyone that you identified, go ahead and test with the small groups, as small as possible, even if it's painful, because there is a lot of learning in there for you. Third point is improve your business offer, improve your commercial offer. Don't go and just try to sell something that you have not sold before, because you don't know if the quality of the product or service is there. You don't know if it's the right pricing. You haven't thought about delivery, shipping, returns, VAT, taxes, all this has to be perfect, tip-top before you actually start doing any campaign. So your product or your service in terms of commercial offer has to be the most mature possible. Number 4 is that once you have built your targeting, segmentation, and processes, try to make a model out of it, even on paper. Like step 1, do this. Step 2, if source was like this, do that. If not, do that. And then you modelize it on PowerPoint like I did, or on a pen and paper. Just modelize how it works, because that's how you're going to optimize on paper before making mistakes in real life. So you can optimize your model on PowerPoint, simulate interactions with clients, and then optimize, improve, optimize. And once you have modelized your approach or your processes, that's where you can actually delegate better. You can delegate better to another partner, another staff, another team member, but also you can delegate to a programmer. Because if you give to a programmer your steps, he will tell you, Mohammed, I know what you want to do. I can now program it very fast. I don't have to ask you 100 questions. So this is the idea of modelizing your processes and your approach. Number 5, very important. I don't remember who said that, but it was saying like, if I cannot measure, I cannot manage. If I don't know what's going on, if I cannot compare results, it will be very hard for me to improve. So Google Analytics, goals, analyzing traffic, feedbacks, you know, all the measurements, all the feedbacks from the customers, any type of scoring, monitoring, analysis that you can do, use it, do a maximum of it, prepare a maximum of it, and challenge what you thought was right at the beginning. Challenge your assumption. You thought that only women would be interested in this product or service, ended up actually men also want it. So be open into challenging your assumption based on some data. Finally, number 6 is the last demonstration I did to you in the video. Once you have the 5 points, the 5 first points right, you're in a very good position to benefit from automation. Because if your manual process is already good, it has a good transformation, then whatever you automate with a bot or a programming language or whatever is going to scale up your potential without reducing your quality, without reducing too much your quality or your transformation ratio. And I think this way is a way for SMEs to get the best return on investments. And if we do this, so I showed you how to drag new contacts out of other apps. So that's X-app or in-app marketing that we mean in our session. So if I do this properly, and then I can automate the discovery and connection, but I can after that also automate the emailing. So this now, instead of sending 1 million email, I only send 100,000, and 100,000 emails to send cost me nothing. And furthermore, I am sending them to people who are very well targeted and who have said somehow that they want to receive something from me. So now if I automate, or if I do mass emailing, I'm going to be respecting the rules. I'm going to have good returns, and I'm going to have spent a minimum of money upfront in terms of buying emails or finding leads. So I think I talked a lot, and I hope it makes sense to you. And I will be happy to first leave the floor to Eldar, and then also I will open up the chat and listen to your questions.
Thanks very much, Muhammed. It was very interesting. Kiminlə sualları var, verə bilər. Yenə də chat vasitəsilə də verə bilərsiniz və mikrofonunuzu unmute eləyib belə də verə bilərsiniz. Yəni ingilis dilində çətinlik çəkirsə mən kömək edə bilərəm, Muhammedə tərcümə eləyərəm. Buyurun, suallarınız varsa. So, Muhammed, if we don't have questions, and I don't see any questions in chat.
Yeah, I mean, don't be shy. And especially if you didn't understand, please don't be shy to ask me to repeat something or to re-show something. Which CMS is best for e-commerce? From Murad.
Yeah.
Yes. So best is hard to answer because it would depend on what you want to do. But maybe I can answer I can give 2 answers. One is whether you can do with something that is ready-made, or if you need a lot of customizations depending on your business model. For PHP programming language. So in that case, for PHP programming language, I would say WordPress. WordPress is the most familiar, the most common one, and you can find a lot of development tools and so on. And I would say WordPress plus a plugin that is called Toolset. So I can write it here in the chat, toolset.com. So basically, Toolset, you will find it interesting, and it's a bit related to what we have done today. Toolset will allow you to visually program new functionalities inside of WordPress. So even if you're not a programmer, you can build blocks and say, when the user register, I want to add him here, and he will have access to this part of the website and not. Even if you're not a programmer, you can build some very advanced semi-automated website. So here it is about not only the CMS, but about how can I automate the CMS so that it can do some job for me. So I would say WordPress plus Toolset is a fantastic combination. It costs $200 for Toolset per year, but it's really worth it. You're welcome, Murad.
So if we don't have any more questions.
Yeah, I think there's a question, Eldar. A new question from Elmir.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Is the mail marketing, yeah.
Yes, Elmir. Is the mail marketing the most risky at the same time? Because it seems the most successful marketing too. Yes, this is a very good question, Elmir, because this is, from my experience, what is the most confusing about mass mailing or email marketing, is that it has the best return on investment according to the whole industry of web marketing. So if you remember my first slide here, this one, the return on investment of email marketing is $40 for each dollar you spend, which is crazy. It's really good compared to, for example, banner ads or even SEO. It's double the SEO return on investment. Now, you say that it's the most risky. Yes, it is the most risky at the same time, but not. It is risky sometimes without you realizing it, because if we are honest to ourselves, when we just go and do emailing without being honest to ourselves, we often do gray zone business. That means we buy 1 million emails from enterprises all over Azerbaijan. And these enterprises, they didn't want us to contact them. So this is the truth. In theory, we can only do mass mailing to people who have opt-in. You remember there was that requirements that I put here? People should have subscribed to our the opt-in requirement. They should have subscribed to our emailing. So this is why it's risky, but many people take this risk because for now, maybe punishment is not coming often. We don't see people paying so much fines, so people think it's okay. But technically, I think soon it's going to become very, very expensive. For example, in the US, there are now a lot of lawyers, and they're making a lot of money, who are actually defending customers. They do if you're familiar with class action suits, it's when, for example, a group of people complain from the same thing. A lawyer can create a class action suit. That means that they will defend 100 people who received your spam. Now, they can defend 100 people for $100 each because they have 100 people, and then they will share the money that they will get out of your punishment. So if this is happening in the US, I think soon it will come to Europe as well, and we will start to feel the punishment of not doing of the risk of emailing. So I think that's what the situation is today. It's gray zone, so people are abusing it or using it, and it's getting good returns, but I think it's creating some damage in the background. So I would say the best for long-term and good brand maintenance for your business is to adapt a little bit what I have suggested here, to narrow your search, narrow your targeting, use in-app marketing, and then only use emailing as a notification, because they already said, yes, I want to be your client. Yes, I want to receive news from you. Then you can email them. If you do like that, then emailing is completely 100% safe. I hope this answers your question, Elmir. My pleasure. Valeria, you had a question? No, maybe Eldar, if there is anything that was not clear in the presentation, please yourself as well, don't hesitate.
Yeah, sure. No, for me it was quite clear. Again, I'm not a specialist in this, so I don't, I cannot differentiate between all these client management tools, customer management tools, but yeah, for me it was interesting and clear.
Thank you.
So if we don't have any more questions, sorular da yoktursa onda bugünkü webinarımızı bitirək və məlumat üçün də bildirim ki, növbəti webinar cümə günü 3 iyul tarixində olacaq və e-logistics və beynəlxalq elektron ticarət və cross-border e-commerce. E-logistics and cross-border e-commerce mövzusunda olacaq. Fikrimcə çox maraqlı mövzudur. Hamınızı yenə də gözləyəcəyik həmin webinarda. Belə, çox sağ olun. Muhammed, thanks very much.
Thank you, Eldar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you on Friday?
Yes, definitely.
Same time on Friday. Yep.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you.
Good day.
Bye.